If those CDC layoffs felt like a glitch, look again because they are part of a pattern. Over 1,300 CDC employees got termination notices in a single weekend. Then after a wave of backlash, about 700 were rescinded. The agency called it a coding error. But hundreds are still on the chopping block, and the same thing is happening in other federal agencies all in the same week. At the Department of Education, hundreds received RIF notices, with most of the Office of Special Education Programs and over 250 staff in the Office for Civil Rights taking the brunt of it. The Environmental Protection Agency issued new intent to RIF notices. The Department of Energy laid off 187 workers. Even DHS reported 176 layoffs, including staff from its cybersecurity arm. And HHS targeted several units, including SAMHSA, where staff cuts and internal transfers were reported following an earlier 10% reduction this year. These aren't random budget trims, though. They are surgical. They target the people whose job is to watch and regulate and enforce, the ones who make sure laws aren't just written, but followed. Because here's the truth. If you want to gut a program without going through Congress, you don't need to repeal it. You just hollow it out. Fire the enforcers, freeze the hiring, stop the data from coming in. In every direction, the watchdogs are thinning out. And that hits at the core of constitutional governance. The president is required to faithfully execute the laws. That doesn't just mean issuing orders. It means maintaining the capacity to carry out Congress's directives. When those teams are gutted, oversight dies, not with a bang, but with a backlog. And Congress relies on civil servants and inspectors general to investigate or audit or report. And without them, checks and balances lose their sight. The founders saw this coming. Madison wrote that the only real safeguard was ambition counteracting ambition, and Washington warned against altering the system through usurpation. And in 1798, Jefferson wrote that government must be bound down from mischief by the chains of the Constitution. But we've seen these tactics before. In 1973, Nixon ordered the firing of a special prosecutor, triggering what became known as the Saturday Night Massacre. In 1937, Roosevelt tried to expand the Supreme Court to tilt the balance of rulings. In the McCarthy era, these words are all stringing together, but in the McCarthy era, ideological purges hollowed out the federal workforce. And in 2006, U.S. attorneys were dismissed under political pressure, undermining trust in neutral enforcement. In each case, the point wasn't just to fire people. It was to rewire the system so fewer people had the power to say no. Quick break here. If you value this kind of grounded civic storytelling, I'm hosting a 30-minute Zoom salon on Thursday, November 6th at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. There are just 4 spots left at time of recording, and the link is right here on screen if you'd like to join. Alright, so here's the question. If watchdogs keep disappearing, and checks keep eroding, who's left to even blow the whistle? And when the rules are broken, who still has the power or the courage to say, this isn't right? I hope that we don't wait to find out.